Hey folks, welcome back to Set Apart Homestead. This is Travis. What kind of mindset do you have? Is it a survivalist mindset? A mindset that no matter what comes across your path, no matter what happens to you, that you will survive, that you will get home at night, that you will make it through it? That, your mind, and the condition of your mind, is by far the most important thing that you can have as a prepper, as a homesteader, and really as just a human being. For most people, the world, at least at times, isn't easy. It can be dangerous. I'm not trying to scare everyone, but we all go through, at least most of us, go through rough patches in our life. And then there's always that possibility of an imminent threat to your life or those around you. And so having the right mindset is really, really important in life. It's something that I learned very early on. I think some people have it naturally, and it can be developed and strengthened. Everyone, it needs to be strengthened. But I believe it is an extremely vital part to living this type of lifestyle, because no matter how prepared you think you are, if you don't have the mindset to live, the mindset to survive, the mindset to prevail, regardless of what comes against you, you've already lost. You may have a $2,000 bug-out bag, $5,000 rifle, thousands of dollars in food and medical supplies and other gear stored up. But if you don't have the tool up here that is set to survive, overcome, and prevail no matter what, then you're really wasting your time. I remember there was an officer that I knew in training, and ended up later on becoming pretty good friends with the guy. And he was probably, out of everyone I've ever known, had the strongest survival mindset that I knew. And the guy was, his physical appearance was not that, intimidating. Excuse me, still dealing with the nasty old cough. If you just saw him in street clothes walking around, some might consider him kind of a wimpy looking little geeky guy. Truth is he's probably one of the most badass people I ever met. Not just mentally, but physically too. The guy, had mastered several forms of martial arts. His rifle and handgun capabilities were amazing. I mean, this guy was a real badass. He didn't look like it though. Just kind of skinny, scrawny looking guy. But the thing was his personality. He was just, excuse me. He was so quiet, kind of come across as being a soft, gentle kind of person, but could potentially be one of the most deadly people you've ever met. And, he talked to me a lot in training, and then later on as we developed a friendship, that it doesn't matter how good you are. It doesn't matter what kind of tools you have, what kind of gun you carry, what kind of equipment you have. You can take every kind of training course available. You can have the best equipment. You may have been an Army Ranger, a Navy SEAL, some kind of, special SWAT team, whatever it is. But if you don't have it up here, and you don't develop it up there, then, when it actually hits the fan, you're going to go down pretty fast. Saying all this, there may be some out there that's kind of getting their feathers ruffled up, and that's not my intention necessarily. Although my intention is to push all of us, including myself. As I'm saying this, I'm seeing myself in the camera screen, so it's more like I'm talking to myself. We have to continually develop that and push that mindset that, no matter what, we will survive. No matter what, we're going to go home at night. And this isn't just, some kind of SHTF end time apocalyptic scenario. This is everyday life. Whether it's losing your job, an illness in your home, vehicle, your motor blows up on your car, you lose all your money in the stock market, your retirement gets washed away. There's all sorts of scenarios that happen to people every day. Tornado takes away your home. You have to have that kind of mindset. And it's especially true if you want to endeavor in a life of preparedness, self-sufficiency, and I believe homesteading too. I believe it's all interconnected. I'll tell you a little story. It's kind of gruesome. I'll try not to make it too gruesome. It is a true story. A friend of mine, this was a friend of a friend, a couple of years ago, he lived up in Montana, and way out in the middle of nowhere. And he'd gone up in the woods to do some cutting trees down. And, he was kind of foolish, I guess you could say. He was out by himself. No one really knew he'd gone out there. He was quite a ways away. Didn't really carry, I guess, much of any communication with him. But anyways, he was cutting a tree down, and something happened, and the tree came down on top of him. And it came down on his leg, right around the knee, pinned him under. And it was a very, very large tree. One that he had no way of getting out from under. When it knocked him down, it knocked this chainsaw too far away to reach. He had nothing on his person to call for help or really do anything. And he was quite a ways out, and he knew that he would probably lay there and die. Infection set in, and he could probably die in a few days, and before anyone would ever find him out there. And so he did the only thing he could think of to survive. And he laid there and started twisting his body, rolling over, with the tree had his leg pinned down. And he started rolling over until he broke that bone off at the knee, and eventually was able, with his hands, rocks, and his own body movement, tear his leg off at the knee. And he proceeded to crawl with his, from like the knee down, ripped off, twisted off. He proceeded to crawl to his vehicle and drove to the nearest someone to get help. I saw the pictures. This friend of mine was a personal friend of his. We were, they helped raise some money for his medical bills and all that. And you know what? Even afterwards, the guy just had a really positive attitude. He didn't kind of get all depressed and down. I'm sure he may have had those moments, but he really had a positive attitude. Now that, I'm telling you, you want someone that's got a pair. To me, that takes a lot of will to survive, to do that. I don't even know if I'm at that point. But that's the kind of mentality that we need. Because there's always a chance that this SHTF that may happen in our lifetime could be really bad, way worse than you expect. And no matter how much preparation you've put into it, odds are you're probably not completely prepared for everything. That's why we continually strive towards that. But then also there's just day-to-day things that happen in our life. Whether it's medical emergencies, financial emergencies, all sorts of things. And we have to constantly develop that mental strength, that mental capacity, that mindset to survive, to overcome. And like I said, it doesn't matter necessarily what kind of training you have. You may be some ex-Navy SEAL, Special Forces, Black Ops, blah, 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 and that's great. But that doesn't necessarily mean that you have that kind of mindset. I have met personally people that's been in the military, that's been in those areas, that don't really have that kind of a mindset. There are, cases too numerous to mention of whether it's in military and law enforcement type of battle scenes, where a person that was injured that wasn't really a, life-threatening injury ended up dying because they just panicked and kind of gave up. That's not what we have to do. And again, I'm not just talking about, the end of the world as we know it. I'm talking about everyday life. I think that's something that, at least in modern America, so many people have lost. They're so used to someone else helping them out, someone else bailing them out, someone else taking care of them, patching them up, paying their bills, everything like that, that the idea that we need to have that mental capacity to survive, it just has become foreign to so many people. Our forefathers had that. That's why we're here today. Look at the history of this nation and the history of all over the world, many places. Generations before us, they had that mentality that no matter what that they came across and came up against, they were going to walk away from it somehow. And even they knew that even if they didn't, they were going to die with their boots on. And, that's the message that we all need to think about in our daily life, not just as preppers or preparedness, self-sufficient people, but just as people. That, we need to continually remind ourselves and keep that power of our mind sharp, because it's the most powerful tool that you have in your preparedness repertoire is your mind. And keep it sharp, and always remember that, whether it's yourself, your wife, your kids, someone, you have a reason to keep fighting and moving forward. That's why in the past, the American people, sorry, bunch of birds flying over. That's why in the past, America has been such a, formidable country to as an enemy to look at, to maybe, take on. It wasn't just that we had a powerful military. It was that the people, had that mindset that, you ain't gonna take me. Kind of like, come and get it. You want this country? You want my guns? You want my land? Come and take it. See how that works for you. And without kind of delving off down that rabbit hole, which I probably would enjoy, we just need to have that mindset. And it doesn't matter if you're a man or a woman. We need to instill that in our children. That we have a right to life, and that we need to fight for that every day. And have that mindset that we're going to survive, we're going to make it, and we're going to make it home that night. And if you do that, it greatly increases your odds at the end of the day. It doesn't matter what you carry on you, what you have at home, where you live. It's all about what's up in your head. And if you do nothing else but that, you'll at least have an advantage over the rest of the population. And that's the place to start. Start developing that. And sure, absolutely, you need to have certain other things to keep you prepared, physical things. But by far, the most important is your mind. Stay sharp, stay prepared, and know that every night you're going to make it home no matter what. All right. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next video.